Hey, truth seekers, welcome back. Zach here. April 20th, 2017, in the news headlines, the passing of Cuba Gooding Sr., the soul singer, the father of Cuba Gooding Jr., the award-winning actor. What I'm going to show you in this video is the death of Cuba Gooding Sr. on April 20th, 2017 is no accident, it's no coincidence. It's no act of nature. What it is a ritual murder. A murder by numbers, and this man has been murdered on this date for a very specific reason. Right now, the media is saying he was out in the middle of the night. He was possibly doing drugs, a drug overdose. Does that sound like a 72-year-old man's behavior? Absolutely not, and that is not what happened. He might have been found dead in his car in Woodland Park, but who knows how he really got there. Going to prove to you beyond a shadow of a doubt this is a ritual murder, and it was done on April 20th for a very specific reason. If you're new to my channel, I talk about the language of gematria, the practice of coding numbers into words, and how you need to know this code to see murder by numbers. If that sounds silly to you, pause right here. In the description, I have a video by the band The Police with Sting, the same group that sang Roxanne and Every Breath You Take, Every Step You Take, I'll Be Watching You, that song. They have a song from 1983 called Murder by Numbers, and they talk about how it's as simple as A, B, C, 1, 2, 3, kind of like the Jackson 5 song. And with regards to songs, we're talking about Cuba Gooding Sr., who sung Everybody Plays the Fool. And what month has he died in? April, which begins with April Fool's Day. I'm going to show you that's no coincidence either. But that song, Murder by Numbers, listen to that and then proceed. So, Cuba Gooding Sr. has passed at age 72, and we'll talk about what April 20th has to do with 72. But he was just 1 week from turning 73, and he was born in the Bronx. He's a Bronx native. Here we are in April, the Bronx. Does that make you think of anything? Maybe World Series, baseball, Yankees? This death today is a ritual sacrifice, a murder. And these murders are always tied to the world of professional sports and more. You know, I've been proving this beyond a shadow of a doubt since 2013. See my work on how I predicted Prince's death in February of 2016. And go back and watch all the work I did on Prince and all that I showed that was connected to his death, including the world of professionally rigged sports. But here it is, Cuba Gooding Sr., born April 27th, 1944 in the Bronx, dead April 20th, 2017. In the language of gematria, also in the description, I'm going to link this calculator over here, the Gematrinator calculator. If you type in the name Cuba Gooding Sr., you'll see that his name has gematria of 72. These four base methods you can do most of your calculations with. One other method really worth learning is the single reduction related to the full reduction. The only difference is S. S is worth 10 instead of 1 in single reduction. The point that I'm trying to show you, though, is Cuba Gooding Sr., his name has gematria of 72 in two formats, and he's been found dead at age 72 on April 20th. And if you write out April 20th, it also sums to 72, his age of death on this date. Now, when I think of Cuba, I think of baseball. A lot of baseball players come from Cuba. Cuba produces, you know, an unprecedented amount of Major League Baseball talent. Cuba, the man dead. The name Cuba has gematria of 27 in two formats. Cuba, the reflection of 72 is 27. Cuba dead at 72. 27, a number that has a lot to do with death. We just saw Aaron Hernandez supposedly commit suicide at age 27. He was in prison for a life sentence for murdering a 27-year-old, Odin Lloyd, initials OL. You can go back and watch my video from 2015 on Odin Lloyd and the significance of 27. You see this number a lot around death. And with regards to baseball, baseball has gematria of 27. So does MLB, the acronym for Major League Baseball. The Bronx Bombers, the Yankees, have won the most World Series. They've won 27 outs per team in a baseball game. Notice this. In gematria, Bronx Bombers sums to 147, like World Series, like Freemason, like conspiracy. Cuba Gooding Sr. was born April 27th, 1944, a date with 94 numerology. When you write out 94, it sums to 147. See my work last year on the World Series. I guaranteed the Cubs would win in spring training. What the Cubs did for their 94th win of the season, if you go back and watch the video from their 94th win, I put out a video and I said, I guarantee you the Cubs win the World Series in Game 7, November 2nd, because of what's coded into this rigged, scripted 94th win. You know, these are all things I've been talking about. 94, 147, and as I so often am, proven correct. You know, I guaranteed the Cubs would win the World Series. In their 94th win, I said why they'd win it for sure in Game 7. All things that came true. And how many predictions do I have correct on this channel? Probably over 1,000. So anyhow, 147, special number. Everybody plays the fool singer. Dead in April. April Fools has the gematria of 147. See my video from the beginning of this month on April Fool's Day and how really every single day is April Fool's Day. Because we live in a world of Freemason liars who control media and information and publishing companies and government and money, and they have us all chasing a lie our whole lives, living under lies our whole lives. News like this is a lie every single day. These mysterious celebrity deaths, ooh, what happened? You know, all of these people are getting murdered. Every last one of them that gets reported in the headlines. Ritual sacrifice, it's a real game, and Sting from The Police sung about it. And Sting is so proud to say that he wrote that song. Listen to the lyrics of that song about how you need to kill people around you to maintain your status, to elevate your position in life. What do you think's going on in the world of celebrity? It's not hard to see. So something else, New York Yankees, he's from the Bronx. They have the gematria of 187, just like Adolf Hitler, just like Paris, France, just like Washington, D.C., just like George Washington, just like so many other things I've talked about recently. You know? 187, number of killing. It's the homicide code in California. This man dead on Adolf Hitler's birthday. The same day there's a terrorist attack in Paris, France, 187. And isn't it interesting that the New York Yankees have that gematria as well? Very special number to Freemasonry, represents time, killing. You know, the Yankees have killed Major League Baseball throughout time. We'll see where the Yankees go this season. They're not a World Series favorite, but they got good hitting. So, for some more baseball connections, here's Cuba, the two Cubas, senior and junior. From his death to Cuba Gooding Jr.'s coming birthday is 108 days. We're going to talk about why that's so interesting. Part of the reason I guaranteed the Cubs would win the World Series last year is because it had been 108 years since they won on a baseball. There's 108 double stitches. The word geometry has gematria of 108. Gematria is geometry within the English language. Major League, which has 108 double stitches on a baseball, has 108 gematria. Also, I want to come back up here. Notice that Cuba Gooding Sr. equals 216. 216, the Cleveland area code, the backhanded way of getting to 666. 6 times 6 times 6 equals 216. There's 108 stitches or double stitches on a baseball. Double stitches, which means there's 216 total stitches. And we saw the Cubs break their 108-year drought over the team from Cleveland, the 216 area code. You see? This sacrifice could also be for the Cavaliers since we're in the playoffs. We saw a lot of ritual sacrifice for the Cavs last year, a lot of 216 tributes. Remember, these ritual sacrifices, they can tie to many things. Baseball, basketball, football, as Prince's death did. Prince's death was pointing to every single sports league. And I showed why, and I proved it throughout the year. Got about 30 videos on the death of Prince now. Remember, even Prince from PM Dawn dropped dead during the time of the NBA Finals. The other Prince. So anyhow, 108, 216, baseball stitches. Notice the gematria of 45. The Cubs hadn't been in the World Series since 45 last year. Wrigley equals 45. But here it is. From Cuba Gooding Jr.'s birthday to this death yesterday, 108 days. There he is, Cuba. He just turned 49 this year, January 2nd. From his birthday to his father's death, 108 days. Gooding Sr. also has the gematria of 108. Notice the gematria of 54. Look at this. I'll just do this for you real quick. Baseball, gematria of 54 in two methods. Notice also the 162, like the 162 game season. That's also a reshuffling of 216. If you write Major League Baseball, 162. Also the 72, he's dead at age 72. I'm going to add that to the post later. I overlooked that one. MLB in gematria, 54. And if you use Sumerian gematria, which is where you multiply the alphabetic order times 6, also 162. You know, think about baseball and all this 54 coding. There's 54 outs in a complete game. Again, gematria, the language you need to know. Our entire English alphabet is based on it. This is why murder by numbers is done and has been done. This is old world practice. This has been going on since before English. This is how Freemasonry operates. This is how you make sure people stay loyal. Secrets are kept. For all we know, all these celebrities we see die by the numbers, perhaps they're the ones who broke their Masonic oath at some point, and these are the consequences. Maybe even Cuba Gooding Jr. broke his oath and his father has to pay for it. Hard to say. You know, we're the people in the dark. Cuba, he's also been in the NFL film. He plays for the Arizona Cardinals in the film Jerry Maguire, 1996. If you missed my video on Jerry Maguire from 2015, I showed how this movie foreshadowed that the Broncos would beat the Carolina Panthers in Super Bowl 50 and what it had to do with the Black Panthers. Remember, there was a Black Panther tribute at halftime. In case you're new here, I predicted what Super Bowl 50 would be in October, why the Broncos would win. By November, I had it figured out that they'd beat the Panthers, Von Miller would be the MVP, and there'd be a Black Panther tribute. Super Bowl 50 wasn't played until February, months after I figured out all of that. Won a lot of people a lot of money. It's because it's all scripted. It's all rigged. Everything coming through your television, through your media, it's all planned in advance. Ritual murder, rigged sports outcomes, fake elections, fake news. It's what we're living in this world. Every day you turn on the TV, you're opening a gateway to nothing but lies, deception, and programming that's meant to negatively impact your mind. So anyhow, his name in this film is Rod Tidwell. Notice Tidwell's on the back. Tidwell equals 85 like National Football League. Remember, the Arizona Cardinals were originally one of the first two teams to start the NFL. They were the Chicago Cardinals, the CC, like 33, like Chicago Cubs. When the Cubs won the World Series, Cubs, Cuba, baseball, when the Cubs won the World Series, out of all American professional sports teams, the next longest championship drought then went to the Cardinals. So the Cardinals, originally from Chicago, out of all American professional sports teams, it's been the longest since they won a sports championship. This is where I think the riddle's coming in with the sacrifice. Somehow the Cardinals might become a good team this year in the NFL. Could still be maybe 2 seasons away. But I think we're going to end up seeing the Cardinals win a Super Bowl here pretty soon. And I have a feeling that today's death is part of this ritual. But look at this. Tidwell, 85, like National Football League. The National Football League was established in Chicago. The Chicago Bears haven't won the Super Bowl since the 85 season, you know? Now get this. His name's Rod Tidwell in the movie. Super Bowl 50 was on the 122nd meridian, which this movie foreshadowed. National Football League also has gematria of 122, just like Tidwell and National Football League, just like Rod Tidwell. How perfect is that? So they're saying his father was a soul singer, which has the gematria of 59, number stamped all over black people. Motown came out in 59. They say AIDS was discovered in 59 in the Belgian Congo. Just show you the gematria of Belgian Congo, 59. 59 is a number that has to do with killing in Jewish gematria. In Jewish gematria, kill equals 59. So the soul singer found dead in his car. Again, Motown came out in 59, Negro 59, Slave 59, Blues 59, Tiger. Think about it. Tiger Woods had his worst career golfing performance on May 9th, the same day slavery or the Civil War ended. Rasta 59. See my videos on the death of Bob Marley and Peter Tosh. So here's the reporting. Woodland Hills, Los Angeles. Cuba Gooding Sr., a soul singer who had his biggest hit in the 70s with Everybody Plays the Fool. You know, they should have wrote, is dead just days after April Fool's Day, was found dead in a car in Woodland Hills Thursday afternoon, officials said. Gooding was found in a 2012 silver Jaguar in the 22100 block. 221 is the number of the Bavarian Illuminati, which is a very real thing, established May 1st, 1776, just before the American Revolution. Notice the gematria of 139 as well. It's all Freemasonry. Freemason 139, the Bavarian Illuminati established 2 months before the American Revolution. America 139. America is New Jerusalem. Gematria is a Jewish practice. It's Jewish people running the nation, running the media, you know, running murder by numbers. This is their practice. The United States of America is a Jewish state. And it's not that all Jewish people are bad, but the Jewish people at the top are Zionists, and they see the masses as goy. Goy are something stupid, lessers. Goy is someone who's not Jewish. And the purpose of the goy in the Talmud is to be a slave race. Think about us all working the 9 to 5. I just showed you slave is 59. The purpose of the goy is to work and pay taxes so that the Jewish people don't have to work and can enjoy life off the labor of the goy. All expressed as religious belief in the Talmud. If we were in a society of dumbed down, chemically stupefied people, we would go, wait a minute. Do I want to live around these people? Do I want to be slaves to people who think I'm a lesser and that I can just be done with as they please? Only a fool would go along with that. Everybody plays the fool. And everybody's playing a fool to the Jewish Zionist Masonic agenda. You know, people come to my work and make fun of it and say this is stupid. That's only something a goy would say. And realize, I was raised a Christian, I was raised Lutheran, but my father doesn't know who his father is, and it's very likely his father was Jewish. And perhaps these Jewish people are smarter. You know, I've been able to see through the lies my whole life. Most of my peers around me, they can't see anything. You know, they're a bunch of fools. They fall for every lie shoved down their throat, including planes hit buildings on 9/11 that caused them to fall down on like a perfect demolition, but then they couldn't find the planes, the bodies, the luggage, but somehow they recovered paper passports from the terrorists, box cutter knives, and cloth turbans. Think about how foolish you gotta be. They should have been playing this song all day when they were playing the 9/11 headlines. America under attack. Everybody plays the fool. Maybe that should become the national anthem for this nation. Police are still investigating. In all likelihood, it was a police officer who murdered him. You know, that's what's going on here. The people who've been given the authority, who run media, who run government, who are in police, they get to get away with everything. They're the authority. You know, that's the problem with authority. The car was seen pulling up to the location around 3:30 a.m. Was it? Or is this all a made-up story? What 72-year-old man's out prowling around at 3:30? You know? So he's found on Ventura Boulevard, which has the gematria of 96, and a 2012 silver Jaguar, which has gematria of 181. Here's how 96 and 181 come together. 181's the 42nd prime. The divisors of 42 sum to 96, and all of these numbers connect back to the Freemasons. 42 often stamped on black people in a negative way as well. They said he was found in Woodland Hills, which has gematria 58, like Freemasonry, like secret society. He was found April 20th, which is the 110th day of the year. On the 110th day of the year, found dead in Woodland Hills, California, 110. The name Gooding also has gematria of 118, like death, number we find around death and killing all the time. Remember they said they found Prince in an elevator? What's interesting is the military family, the Prince family, not Prince the musician, but Eric Prince, who owns Blackwater, the mercenaries that are paid for with our taxpayer dollars. In case you've been living under a rock like most Americans, when we were fighting those wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, for whatever reason, the Bush administration let these private mercenary companies come up, and then we paid those military men 10 times the rate of U.S. servicemen to go over there and fight. Why would we ever do that? Just waste all this taxpayer money, help these billionaires get even more rich off needless wars? Anyway, his father, Eric Prince, was found dead in an elevator just like Prince, 118. And if you go watch my video from February 2016 after Vanity died, Prince's girlfriend, she died just before the 58th Grammys, 50 Freemasonry, Purple Rain, look at the Freemason logo, the compass and the square with the G with the background purple, Purple Rain, 58, Vanity dead just before the 58th Grammys. Her cause of death was with 118 gematria. And then I noticed the name Prince Nelson, or is it Prince Rogers Nelson? I have to go back and look. Prince Nelson has the 144 coding, which also connects to killing. Prince Rogers Nelson, his full name, has gematria of 118 like death. Prince Rogers Nelson, found in an elevator, you know. Gooding has this fateful gematria. Gooding also sums to 44. This man was born in 1944 in the Bronx, April 27th. Kill equals 44, execution 44, genocide 44. Number that has a lot to do with death. Now this morning, the headlines, possible overdose. Possible overdose sums to 74, like Masonic, like Jewish, like occult, like killing. Possible overdose also sums to 88, like Cuba Gooding Sr., if you write out the word senior. And let's keep in mind that this news comes on the marijuana holiday. They say that the marijuana 420 code comes from teenagers out in California. I guarantee you this story is complete bullshit. No group of teenagers at a school are going to create something that becomes an international code. But just look at this. They say it was a group of teenagers that called themselves the Waldos that created the 420 code. Waldos 88, like marijuana 88, like California 88, 420 88, you know, a 420. A marijuana infraction. 420, 42, also at the beginning, hemp 42. They said it was some teenagers that were the Waldos. Interesting that the 42nd state, Washington, named after George Washington, one of the first states to legalize. And the governor, Hickenlooper in Colorado, who legalized weed, his last name equals 88 as well. I should have wrote that up there. So the first two states with the legal weed, Colorado and Washington State, both had 88 connections at the time. So anyhow, possibly part of the riddle, him dying on 420, April 20th. The word overdose also has gematria of 113, and for all of you who've been following my work, we've really added to the 113 list this week for all the words having to do with deception in 113. We've always known about mainstream, dishonest, perjury, green screen, fiction, bullshit. But here's some more good ones. Not true 113. Not factual 113. Not honest 113. Remember in the Talmud, Baba Kama 113a says it's okay for Jews to use lies to circumvent a Gentile. Again, the Talmud's all about how the Goy or a Gentile is a stupid thing. You can do whatever you want with it. It doesn't matter. They're only here for our benefit. You can lie to them. You can exploit them. You can make them slaves. Hey, who wants freedom of religion? Who wants to live next to Jewish people who believes in the Talmud? You know? Why do you think, all of these entertainers just get murdered by the numbers like they're nothing, like they're cattle out in the field? It's because it's run by Jewish Zionists who have these belief systems, just like any Christian or any religious person who takes their spiritual text and goes, my spiritual text is the best. This is all right. Everything else is wrong. That's why all of you religious people, it's just so amazing to me that none of you get it. You all think your religions are so great and you're the best and everyone else is wrong. This is the same reason the Jewish people kill all the goy, because they have their holy book and it says it's all permitted. It's all right by God. This is God's plan. You see? It's a society of fools. It's a society of fools being led astray by Zionist Jews who don't give a fuck about you. They'll murder you as quickly as they'll murder anybody else. They'll lie to you about everything. I'm going to turn every video into September 11th. Tisha B'Av, never forget it. The Jewish day of remembrance of the destruction of the two temples. Tisha B'Av, the destruction of the two temples, equals 911 in Jewish gematria. 911. What day did the two towers come down? Tisha B'Av is about remembering the destruction of Solomon's temple and its recreation. Solomon's temple 68. 911 made the national emergency dialing code in 68. World Trade Center construction began in New York. George W. Bush graduated from Yale and Skull and Bones. I'm going to say it at the end of every video until everyone knows it. Tired of everyone saying this gematria is a joke. No. If you think this is a joke, look in the mirror and then say, man, I'm a fucking joke. I've been playing the fool. Until next time, true seeker.